I'm in my second act is what I tell everybody. And it's also what I coach a lot is I coach men through their second act because my kind of like one of my mission statements in life is that I don't want men to make the same mistakes I made, and especially younger men, right?
Morning, family. Sunday morning here at the FOC podcast studio, front of center, me and Tyrell, Bubba Trainer in the office, getting it today.
Hey, brother.
How you doing, bud?
Good, man. How are you?
It's good. It's early.
Yeah.
We got in here early to beat the heat. But man, getting to review Hanse's podcast this morning and just kind of dig in on some stuff also just gets me fired up too. So
yes, sir.
Came in a little sleepy early Sunday for me and you. But dude, we got our boy. He's awesome. Tell us what we got coming up.
Yeah, this interview is definitely one of our favorites right now as far as just the quality that we present. And Hanse just brought it. He calls himself a random enthusiast, which I love. I think professionally he's got his hands in many different things. I think he's got his day job, 20-year retired Army vet, and working still kind of in some of that. He's coaching. He's talking about coaching men through their second act, helping them not make the same mistakes. He talked about like lead where possible and follow as needed. And I thought that was really awesome as far as someone who's just out there just trying to help and coach young men on a singular level, on a group level, and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's just that piling up of experience and going through the hard stuff and being open about it. I think that's what, to me, you see somebody like him that makes a difference is he's not afraid just to share it and talk about it and go, yeah, so not to get too far into that, because really we want to hear what he's got to say about
yes, sir.
all this. And so, T, get us in and let's go.
Yeah, so great interview here. Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, get your notepad out, enjoy it, and we'll be back on the other side.
Right on, let's go.
Tyrell, you ready to go? You good, T? All right, brother. All right, we got Hanse on today. Buddy I met out at Winterstrong, South Carolina. My wife asked me who we were podcasting with today, and my comment to her was, when I gave this guy a hug, he hugged me back. And I don't get a lot of hugs back from men that grab a hold of me and make me feel loved like that. So it was just a good hello, and we got real deep real quick in the conversation. And so I know that's a common thing for you. As I was doing my homework, listening to some other podcasts, is like, oh, everybody is having the same experience with Hanse that I'm having, is just that impact, immediate impact. I always think of it as a frequency, right? You run into somebody and you just go, that's a frequency that feels really, really good to be around. And so, man, for me, that's right where it was at. It was just, hey, it was just a thump. And I want to get more of this guy. And the environment there, you never get the time with those dudes that you want to get time with. I always leave going, I want more,
Yeah.
So, man, hook us up with just kind of a little bit. I think a lot of us know where you've been, but kind of where you've been. And then, I want to hear about where you're going and what you're taking with you,
Yeah, man. Dude, so I was a soldier for 20 years.
Yes, sir.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. Well, to be more accurate, I loved the first 15 years of it. And the last couple, I was like, this is all right. Which is, led me to my civilian life. I always tell everybody I'm a random enthusiast, man. I grab a hold of something and I'm a pit bull, and I'm a pit bull on it until I've had my fill, or we figure out a way to just make it a part of normal life. It's how I got involved in hunting. I'm still a new hunter. I'm still hesitant to call myself a hunter, right? But I'm trying.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of the thing with me is I'm a random enthusiast, dude. I'm a big on trying to live a big, full, complete life. I'm a father of 4, divorced, and just trying to do it right, man. I'm in my pivot, right? I'm in my second act is what I tell everybody. And it's also what I coach a lot is I coach men through their second act because my kind of like one of my mission statements in life is that I don't want men to make the same mistakes I made, especially younger men, right? Because so many of the things I made were avoidable. And I had examples, but I was also hard-headed and extremely egotistical, and so That's what I spend the bulk of my time doing, man. I spend my time trying to adventure, trying to be a good dad, and trying to lead where possible and follow when needed.
Yes. Yes, man. And just even unpacking that little introduction statement there, my biggest fear with you today is I'm not going to get enough time. I have a ton of curiosity around the wisdom you've gained just along the way. And man, you know, that divorce thing is tough. I'm at an age, I'm 45. I'm 45. Yeah. And we're at this phase where, you know, a lot of our friends have they're in that spot, you know, where, you know, you get that random call from a buddy going, "Hey man, we're done," you know, and it breaks your heart. And it is a really, really tough thing to go through. Do what with that, if you're willing to talk about it, like you know, got these young kids getting married and you've been through that. And anybody that's gone through something, I love those hardship stories. I can't help it, just because, you know,
Yeah.
somebody, if they've come out the other side and they're still together, they've got something special to share. And so, what would you touch on with that, man? I know you've got a ton there, but like for those young men in that.
I mean, the first thing is, I think we underplay how important picking your partner is. And I know people say this, but I cannot say it enough, right? And this doesn't mean my partner was bad. It was more, it's more about the fact that how young I was and how you grow, right?
Mhm.
And being ready for that event, which is a lifelong event. It doesn't end, right?
Right.
It's an infinite game, as they say, right? It's an infinite. You can't win marriage. You just do
Yeah.
marriage. You got to keep doing it, right?
It's
Like,
just the weight room, isn't it? Like that's
yeah,
what
exactly,
you don't
right?
win.
It's the
It's
weight room.
always beats you.
Yeah, it's the weight room. It's jujitsu. Like, you can get a black belt, but that don't mean shit.
Mhm.
There's 100 more,
Yeah.
right? And there's 100 more matches, and it never ends.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, what I've learned is it's always us versus the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it supposed to
respond.
be that way, or is it
What do you mean?
it's us versus the world? Is it that mean you as a man versus the world, or you and your marriage versus the world?
You and your partner,
Yeah.
right? It's you and your partner versus the world.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, what I say now is, like, I don't care if it's your parents or whatever. I'll always be respectful and nice, but you're the one who matters.
Yeah.
Right. Your feelings, your responses, and that even tailors down to this idea where, like, I used to be a truth first guy, right? Truth is the only thing that matters, not the delivery.
Yeah.
Right. And then you start realizing, like, the delivery matters.
It does.
Right.
And the truth can hurt us. I mean, just because the truth doesn't mean it doesn't do damage, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, when you see a lot of guys like that, they're like, well, it's the truth. It's the truth. And it's like, man, like, just because it's the truth, it doesn't mean it's the right time. It doesn't mean it's delivered the right way. And it doesn't mean that it ain't coming back to bite you.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
You know?
She's on her own path too, right? And so she's growing and learning. And so just because it's my truth now, right? It might not hit right with where she's at in her journey. And so sure it is, but it's having that emotional intelligence as a man to be able to go, hey, she doesn't need that right now. That's not what's going to serve her.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, right? Like, I'm actually trying to finish this article I'm writing right now about emotional intelligence, because one of the realities I faced, or I'm facing right now, is, I think a lot of people use, or they weaponize, emotional intelligence, right? This person isn't emotionally intelligent. This person has this level of emotion. And I think the real reality of emotional intelligence is being able to recognize that and then curtail or tailor your conversation to that thing.
Absolutely. And really tap into that protector energy. That's what I try and, you know, I tell young men and myself, and even, you know, it's with everything, right? I'm driving over here this morning, somebody cuts me off, right? Now is my response be an asshole and flip them off, or is my response, hey, I'm a protector wherever I am, right?
Yeah.
I'm driving
Exactly.
the car and it's my job. I don't know what their day is. That might be an old lady. She's just, you know, she's on her way out, can't drive, or it's a young girl that just started driving, and it's my job to protect them, right? So don't be a dick, right?
I
Don't,
like,
you know, and you protect. And it's the same with my wife, right? Like if she comes off, you know, and she has a bad day and blows up on me, it's not my job to elevate my emotion to where she's at and come at her with that, but it's to protect that. protect the space
Yeah.
for her so that she can have that emotion and work through it herself as a man.
I
And
mean,
I think
dude,
that's where that pinnacle for me of emotional intelligence is like, know it, see it, learn it, and then protect theirs.
I think that's huge, right? That's one of the big ones I would say, and I talk about with a lot of young men is that one right there is just being able to, like, we call it responding versus reacting, right? I
Mm.
always want to respond, not react. Reactions are like, you mother, whereas a response is, I don't know what kind of day this person had. I know what
Yes.
kind of day I had. And I also don't want to give you a ticket to my show,
Yeah.
right? These are for purchase only. I ain't giving them
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I always want to manage that. But one of the other things that you said there that was really cool, and it's one of the things I've been thinking a lot about, is the fact that, like, it started off as a joke, right? So there's a meme going around on the internet talking about it says my husband meant he'd protect me from monsters and dragons, not do the laundry and all the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was coaching one of my clients, and I was talking to him, and I said, man, I said, well, what if we actually flipped it on its head, and what if protection actually means from you, right? Because we all have a monster inside of us. We all have a bad day inside of us. What if the protector or the thing that I'm actually doing is protecting them from the outside world or themselves or whoever it is? You know, like, and when we start talking about how we can protect this woman or our partner or our friends or whatever, it's not always just, you know, go to guns, go to swords. Sometimes it's the other things. And one of the most impactful conversations I had at Winter Strong,
Mm.
right, which is quite often, is Lily and I were talking, and he said to me that he believes that the basically the equal opposite of love is the most important thing, because you can destroy whatever you love. It gives you the ability to destroy it, and I don't think we think about it a lot. And I think that's one of the things when I look back on my divorce
Yeah.
is like, when somebody tells you that they love you or somebody gives you the access or this whatever, they are giving you the keys to destruction.
Dude, 1,000%. And it's a little bit, I feel a little funny sharing it on here, but it's forever going to be on tape now. But I did a psilocybin journey a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever been there or done any of that work, but I had this incredibly, and I think I talked to you about this with my son. I had this crazy, very clear vision of him and I walking through the woods. There was snow covering on the ground, but I was this gigantic grizzly bear, big.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember this.
he was this little kind of like soldier figure. I don't, whatever, man. It was what it was, right? He had like this little soldier uniform on, and he's walking next to me, and I get like emotional talking about it, but um, he's walking next to me, and I'm this bear, and he feels so safe. There's nothing scary in the woods because I'm the apex of the apex predator,
Yeah.
monstrous, and it's safe, and there's nothing scary in there. And then all of a sudden, dude, I turn over, and I hate myself. It's like I hate myself for having this vision, but I growl at him
Mm.
right in the middle of this walk through these woods. And then all of a sudden, it's like I can see through his eyes. And then we're still walking next to each other, but all these scary things show up in the woods. All of them. There's spooky eyes up in the trees. There's danger everywhere, right? And just as a father to your children, especially, just we can be the most powerful thing in their lives, and they can feel like nothing can touch me with this guy standing next to me. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how big I am or you are. You know, Tyrell's the fourth brother in line, and the smallest of the brothers, and to his boy, he's the biggest man in the world. You know,
Yeah.
every boy. I mean, I love it when young boys walk up to me and they go like, "My dad could beat you up" or whatever, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the dad looks at me like, "Dude, bro," and I'm like, he could, 100% he could, you know, and just the power that's there as a father, man, and just how quickly we can take away that security and that safety and just everything that they believe in, and just, dude, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, you did talk about that a little bit at Winter
Yeah. I
Storm.
remember that. Yeah. I mean, man, it's funny for me because, you know, as you grow up, like you look at your dad, right, and then you go through that period where you're kind of resistant to your father or whatever, right, because you're trying to figure
Yeah.
it out. And then I remember, like, probably 2004, 2005, man, calling my dad and being like, "You were right," like about it all. You know,
I pray
like
I get that call.
yeah, like I just understood all of a sudden.
Good.
And now I see it with my boys. My oldest boy is in his 20s, and my youngest boy is 12, and both of them, right? My oldest boy he's in the army now, and so now he calls for advice and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, like this is crazy. You know, my youngest boy, he's always always something, you know, and you can watch the importance of what you said. And I'll share a piece of this one just because it's still private and I don't want to share too much. But one of the things that I've been doing with my youngest boy lately is I call him in the room and I go, hey, what can I do to be a better dad? Right? And he'll go, it's almost always nothing. Right? He won't say, right? But I want to give him that room. And then I say, is it okay if I tell you what I need? And he's like, all right, yeah. And dude, I told him, I said, I just like it when you tell me you love me and you give me a big hug. Yeah. Dude, his face. And I was like, if I don't say it enough, I need to say it more. And I say, I love you all the time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And that dude was like, and I saw it and I was like, yep, right move. This is the right move.
Yeah.
And so I guess the main reason why I'm sharing it is because if you're a dad and you haven't done something of that, whatever your version of that is, I would highly recommend it. And then the other thing I got, and I wanted to say to you, because it's funny, man, because you are larger than life.
Yeah.
One of the best pieces of advice I ever got about being a dad was stop trying to make happy kids happier.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like we have this presence and everything else, and you're just like, whatever. And sometimes you just want to force it. But sometimes, dude, and I think this is the other part of it, is the second piece of advice was, if you have loud, boisterous kids, they know that they're safe.
Dude, that's such a trip, man. Like, again, it's hard, man, not to get into some of the private things, especially with your kids, right? And
yeah.
But my son had a horrible experience this year where one of his young friends, he's in 7th grade, committed suicide. One of his best little buddies.
Yeah.
And don't need to get in the details of that, except for about 4 to 6 weeks after that, our son, he likes to be alone. He likes to go do his own thing. He basically, right now he's got a tent set up in the backyard, and he's been like, kind of like, that's his little home. He's living out there. Right. And I love it. I love it. But he likes to be away from us and go do his own thing. That's cool. But right after that, he was like, he would snuggle on the couch. He'd watch TV with us and all of this. And my wife was like, he's been so good lately. You know, he wasn't acting up. He wasn't telling us to piss off, you know? And I had to remind her, I was like, that's him unhealthy. He feels unsafe. He's coming to anchor to us, which is such a blessing that he did. But I said, when he's healthy, right? And if we can recognize that, when he's healthy, he tells me to fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he pushes on me, and I'm down with that, right? Like I'm down to be the guy that he pushes against. And it was just so sad to see him, you know, kind of, and for her, it was like a light bulb. She's like, oh my God, you're right. You know, but for her, it felt good, right? Because we were getting what we needed. He was what we thought we needed, but really he was in a bad spot, you know, and to see him when he gets back to his normal self where he's like, no, I want to go do my own thing. It's like, oh, he's feeling good again.
You know, I think that's another thing too. Like one of the things I've been really interested in trying to do with my kids, and I think we've done a good job, is I think giving them the gift to be themselves, unapologetically themselves.
Yeah,
is probably the most important. That and we talk about it a lot on our podcast is high agency, which that's a high agency move. Your kid out in the back by himself, that's high agency as hell, dude. So like you're on the right track.
Like there for sure. Like there was a mountain lion attack like a half a mile north of my house a couple years ago. Like we're near a river bottom. There's mountain lion here. There's for sure a bobcat lives close by, and there's 1 or 2 bears that we'll see on the game cameras once in a while around. And I'm like, he's like actually out in it a little bit. He doesn't really know, you know, probably the scariest thing is a tick at the end of the day, but you know, it's a trip to see him out there. And and you know what, you know, kind of with that and the agency and just me as a father, when I talked to you, something that came up was just that, dude, all of his heroes are black men,
Mhm.
you know, and that's great. It's just as a father, like I always thought, like, and I know I am one of those people, right? But you look at a screensaver and it'll be like Kobe. Of course, it's like fucking Kobe and Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
compete with those dudes. But and I don't even know why we got on it. Obviously, because you're a black man and I'm a big old white dude, and those are the men he looks up to. And it's just interesting as a father to see your son kind of look at that and go like, you know, he's got this different dynamic of men that appear different than me. You know, they're
Mhm.
not like they're driven, you know, and they're athletes. But anyway, it was just, and I don't even know why it came up, and I was comfortable with you saying that because there could be there's a lot of room for me to mess up that conversation. You know what I mean? As a white dude talking to a black man, and so it takes a lot of, I don't know, man. You made me feel like, hey, I can say this in front of you. I'm not gonna step on words and you know, be
Well,
offended. Okay.
I mean, dude, I'll tell you, I'll just be really, really honest from my perspective, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't publicly talk about race a lot because I think
Yeah.
most people's ears are glued shut,
Yeah.
right? And most people honestly won't give ground to get ground.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought those are the two things. But one of the things that I know to be true is that it's hard to find common ground, reconciliation, whatever, if you're not willing to listen to somebody and more so the spirit of what they're saying,
Yeah.
right? And so also, dude, like I'll tell you, being in the army is good practice. A lot of people will tell you the army that people don't see color and everything else. I tell them bullshit. In order to be a good leader, you got to see these things. You got to know. I got to know if you're from Jersey. I got to know if you're from Montana. I got to know whatever.
Right.
And the perfect example is my very first roommate in the army was from middle of nowhere, Montana.
Yeah.
We get in the room together, and his first thing with me was, "Can I touch your hair?" And I think it was that. It was asked me about my hair. Then he was like, "What's the difference in your hair?" Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I, growing up in a really diverse area, and also growing up prior to that in an area where I was the only black kid in the school.
Yeah.
For me, it's not a thing. But I have friends where that's a thing, and it's an offensive thing. But if you really boil it down to reality of what it is, it's like we have somebody trying to discover something that they don't know, right? And I'm never, me personally, I'm never going to be the person who shies away from that because there's too much I want to know. There's too much I don't know,
Right.
right? And then in this sense of what we're specifically talking about, it struck me because I remember my Uncle Junior. He's gone now. He's a Golden Glove boxer from Detroit, man. And my Uncle Junior lit into my ass when I was about 16 years old. He asked me, he said, "Who's your hero?" And so I started naming movies and athletes and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes, turns, looks at my dad. He said, "You see that man right there?" He said, "Why ain't that your hero?" That's the biggest, baddest hero I ever seen in my life. And he just starts going down the list of my dad's accomplishments and who he is and what he is. And it's funny, man, because at the time, he was on the list. I just never would have said it, right?
Yeah.
But I think the other thing too, and this is the thing I've been kind of chiming in about a lot, is I don't think most dads get to be the hero till later,
No doubt about it, man.
right?
No.
Like I said, like 2005, I'm coming back from Fallujah, Iraq. I'm coming back from Fallujah right after the fall of Fallujah, and we had been in it, um, and it was the first time where he talked to me about Vietnam, right? And it just
Yeah.
felt like, and I was like, oh shit, this dude's been my hero my entire life, and I've been out here looking at movie stars and athletes and Walter Payton and Barry, and I thought these guys were my heroes. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no. You have the pinnacle
Yeah.
right next to you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not to say he doesn't make mistakes or anything else, but I think that's one of those other misnomers in life is that where people are like, don't meet your heroes. Cause I'm like, if you thought your heroes were without flaws, and you're in the wrong world anyways.
Right. Yep.
I think
Yeah.
that's what makes him endearing. Right. And it's also like, if we talk about like to nerd out for a second, like comic books. That's why people like Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's flawed.
You can't meet him. Yeah.
Yeah, like Superman's boring, man. He's gonna do everything right. I don't want to watch this.
It's true.
You
Yeah.
know, but no, I really appreciated that just from even that level. So I think the larger conversation of the zoom out here is like, if you can withstand things, not that it was offensive to me at all, but like even if it is something is offensive,
Yeah.
if you can withstand it, there's a common ground to be made.
Yeah.
And I have found more in common than I have not. And it's a choice.
Yeah.
Right? It is a choice at the end of the day. How I curate my life is extremely important to me. And to make friends and acquaintances and experiences and conversations that are meaningful sometimes come with the price tag of that was an interesting start.
Yeah.
Or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's hard though, because I don't think I have to make that stretch as often and I'm sure you don't want to go too far down a racial conversation, but it's like, I don't have to make that stretch, man. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to stretch and give grace as often as, as I had a similar conversation with some of my other Black friends. It's like, they have to stretch quite a bit, and they've had to like navigate a lot of that along the way in order to be able to get along with that. But it's funny because my wife and I've, we've had a lot of these conversations around, just even the political, the last 8 years has been an interesting 8 years, right, for us. And I think it's good and necessary for us to grow. But I try and tell her, like, I spend a lot of time talking to a lot of men, deep heart conversations. And I try and tell her, like, from the white guy's perspective, there are so few dudes, not just white dudes, that look in the mirror and say, I love you.
Oh, for sure.
And so imagine the stretch to go from, they can't really say I love you to themselves or their brother or their father. And then you ask a man of any color to look at somebody that appears different than them, you know what I mean, and say I love you to that guy. And I just have to remind her, like, most guys don't look in the mirror and see somebody they love, let alone the guy across the street, right? And so I think a lot of that work needs to start in here and be able to like genuinely love yourself, because then I can genuinely love you, and then I get a guy that gives me a real hug back, and because you've done that work and I've done that work, it's good, but
I mean,
if you don't love yourself to start with, man.
I think that's key. I think the thing I'm leaning on a lot lately, I used to have a tattoo on my wrist that said self-made. Right. And I had it covered up. Because I realized it was a lie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so where I'm going here is that, and the self-love I have now, I did a lot of work to get, but it was already pre-installed.
Yeah.
And it came installed because of Bernard and Loretta Boulden, right? Like those are my parents.
Yes.
And I think this is the thing that some of us are missing, and some of us, didn't realize, and some of us just didn't have it, right? Some of us had it and didn't realize it. Other of us just didn't have it, period, for whatever circumstance or reason. But my parents gave me so much self-esteem, love, and like the wherewithal to be like, it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was one of those kids, man. I was a weird kid, dude. I had all the interests, all the craziness. I wore suits to school in 3rd grade for like 3 weeks straight until she made me stop, because I thought it was cool. The real reason was because I was watching John Gotti stuff. I thought John Gotti was the dude, right? So I was like, I'm gonna wear suits to school. But you know what I mean? Like I was always fairly.
You had a suit sitting around in 3rd grade. I mean, that's big.
I was fairly high agency, man. Like I liked what I liked. I did what I wanted to do and didn't care if I got made fun of and everything else.
Yeah.
But I think the more I look at it, it's the product of my parents saying, we're going to love you no matter what. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that comes from everything, dude, from failure. Like failure's never been a big deal to me, because I watched my dad just be the kind of guy who's like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. I remember when my grandmother died, or my granny died, when she we flipped her house.
Yeah.
And we did it, me and my dad flipped that entire house. And my dad's already a handy guy. He's an engineer by nature, by trade, but there are some things he didn't know what to do. And I've told this story before, man. Like, he's the kind of guy, we go to the library, we check out the books, we read the books, and then we go do the thing.
Dude, especially back in the day when you had to go to a book for it. Right now you can YouTube anything,
Yeah.
right? You can be right there in the house and go, how do I change a toilet out or
Yep.
right.
And so I just never had that problem or that issue. And I think a lot of it, like I said, is just the reality of I had figures in my life who gave me that permission early.
Yeah.
And so it's been a kind of another journey to say, like, oh man, there's a lot of growth here. Don't get me wrong. I did put a lot of work in, but
Right.
these were old codes that were buried deep somewhere. I just had to go unearth them. And I think that's also the thing for us as parents to remember is, like, sometimes I think one of the coolest things I read was Neil Strauss talking about parenting.
Mm.
And he said one of the biggest things that you can do is as a parent, he's like, you're not really trying to parent. You're just not trying not to mess up.
Yeah.
You're trying not to put your stuff on them.
Absolutely.
You know,
how many times I tell my kids, like, and I stole this from somebody else, but I said, this is my first time doing this. You know, every day is my first time. It's my first day with a 13-year-old young man and me, a 45-year-old father. And I'm going to do my absolute best for you, but I'm going to screw up, dude. You know,
yeah.
I'm going to screw up. And so it's a crazy growth. What about you, Hanse, with young men who maybe didn't have that, right? They didn't have that example that you had as a father that really was your hero. And how do they look for, maybe stack up, you know, some of that wisdom, or how do they begin to rebuild maybe some negative messaging they had as a young man, and they've got some stuff to overcome there, bro?
I just had a conversation with one of my clients the other day, man. And one of the things I have found immense value in, and I tell him and every other man I come in contact with that we talk in this level, is like, one of the best things you can ever do is find somebody who's older than you, who's been through it and got their shit together.
Yeah.
And then in general, I call it like a little council. Like on my phone, the chat's called Tribesmen. And those are all the dudes that, and I have two different versions of it, but those are all the dudes that we're either coaching each other or mentoring each other or helping or just staying in contact for accountability. It's nothing formal. It's nothing whatever. Sometimes you go 2 weeks without hearing a peep. And in other days it's going that your phone is just chirping.
Yeah.
And I think that, men need to be around other men.
Yes,
I really do believe that. And I believe, you know, you are the company you keep. And it's an old adage, but if you can find standard bearers, you know, that's your best bet. And if you can't find standard bearers, then, you know, it's reverse mentorship. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing, though, when you're a young man is actually taking the time to not just go at life. Right.
Right.
To be real, like that's how my
That's-
marriage fell apart. My marriage fell apart because I was going at life. I wasn't living by the tenets and principles that I actually wanted to and that I espoused, and, you know, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I didn't espouse them at that point in time, but like I knew that those were things that I wanted to be. But I was too busy having fun or partying or chasing the next deployment or whatever. And so being able to take that pause and go, I want to be the kind of man who ...
Right. Is that a little bit, I think what I've seen from some of my buddies, and all wonderful men have gone through that. Any branch of the military is it feels a little bit like you go in and they kind of go, hey, this is you. This is the owner's manual for Hanse for the next X number of years. No need to think about all of this other part that me and you were talking about right now. You got a thing to do and focus on that. Right. Is that
I think
an injustice that happens there, or I mean, I don't have any wisdom there, so tell me where
It's
I'm at, where I'm
it's
wrong.
both. I think all men kind of go through it. I think it's just how hard, right?
Yeah.
I think and I don't know where I got this from or if I made it up, but like I call it we build men with hollow chests.
Mm,
Man, and you know,
yeah.
you're a man in every sense of the word, right? I can storm a mountain, fucking climb a tree, I can do all the things, change a tire, blah
Yeah.
blah, but I can't have this hard conversation.
Yeah.
I can't, you know, man, I told I told a woman once that I would rather be in a gunfight than an argument with her. Right?
Well, it's a pretty clear enemy there, right? It's good guy,
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
And we're both trying to kill each other, but they've got ways about them that we will never understand, right?
And
Yeah,
yeah.
scary enemy.
And so I say that because again, and this is my kind of my beat right now that I'm on is like my thing is slow down, think, respond, and try and articulate yourself.
Yeah.
Be articulate in your responses or whatever. And so you know you miss a lot of it, man. And I think you miss a lot of it because again, like you're young, like here it's Friday. Right now there's a young man who's like he's can't wait to 5:30. All he can think about is the bar, club, sitting around at
Yes.
whatever, doing the thing.
Yeah.
He's not thinking about what the impact of this is at 70.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's like I had a conversation with a guy, man, who was just running through women. And I'm not anybody to preach one way or the other, right? I've done my fair share of damage. And I told him, I said at some point in time, it's like jumping the shark on TV, right? It's that TV episode where everybody's just like, why did they make this episode? Like this was a pointless. This meant nothing. It didn't matter. And that's what I told him. I was like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, man. I'm just going to tell you at some point in time, they're nothing burgers. And are they worth spending the effort, time, and energy on this, whatever it is? And you
Right.
can put that to all this stuff, man. Like a conversation I had with my son recently is, I was like, hey, Chase, like you can go party in the town you're in every weekend, right?
Yeah.
Or you can save some money and go party in Spain once a year, twice a year, and make a memory.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
You know, and I think that's more of like the avenue and route that I would push people to is like I'm interested in experiences, memories, and moments. I'm interested in those, and I think if you can kind of, you know, reverse engineer your life, which is what I'm constantly talking about now, is like I know what I want to look like, say, and speak, and I know what I want my children and everyone else to speak about me when I'm 80 years old. So then my horizon is really broad, but the road's really narrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And so those young men that didn't have that hero father that you had, I hear what you're saying is find other men that may be that.
Mm-hmm.
Watch what they're doing, right? And try and it's a little bit of a fake it till you make it thing, right? Okay, so Hanse, he goes to the gym in the morning, he journals, he reads, and I had a I hate to say this because my father is a wonderful man. He was one of the only fathers I've ever known that he had sole custody of me and my brothers. It was just him, sole parental.
Yeah.
But he also struggled with a lot of substance. Alcohol's a thing, man. You know, it'll get anybody, and so it was different. You know, I'll say that, and so at a pretty young age, I got really good at looking at other men that maybe were doing something that I thought was the way that I wanted to be someday, right? And so reading is something I know, like looking at your Instagram, I see that you've posted books a number of times, and that was a commonality I found with men that seemed to be on a path that I thought I'd want to be on in my life because I was making it up. I said, I love my father, appreciate that, you know, he's doing what he's doing, but I don't think I want to go the way he's going, of course, right? And so I'd look for other men, and something I noticed was they all seemed to read, right? And so at some point I started taking pictures. If my phone's up here, but I could literally show you pictures of bookshelves, old pictures of me taking a picture of their bookshelf. If I could get into somebody's library and get a sneak peek at what they've got on their wall, right? That they're reading, or what's on the on the coffee table, or whatever. And so that was something I got pretty good at a young age, is going, all right, kind of curating what those men are doing. And I think that's something that I, from my perspective, going, my father did teach me how to work. That guy worked his ass off,
Yeah.
did. And he's a very loving, kind person, never a mean person. It's just, I had big dreams. Like, I knew I wanted to do something great in my life. And so I had to start to pull from other men. And I think it's a hard place to start when men don't have that built in. Like that thing that we're trying to give our sons, that go, hey man, you're unique, you're a gift, and what you've got in you is something special. And that's my job, to help you find that. But where do you think, guys, one more tip for those guys that didn't have that, they're struggling when they go, man, where do I?
I think you hit it on the head, man. Like, I often kind of work in like 3 or 4 silos, right? When I started working with a guy, and you hit all of them on the head. It's journal, right?
Yeah.
And here's another way to kind of unpack it, right? There are some commonalities we can find in all great men.
1,000%. Yeah.
And I think if you can, we're always so ready to rally against the thing, right? Go against the grain. I don't need to journal, right? I don't need to read. And then almost all of us at some point in time, especially those of us who are chasing performance and betterment and growth and greatness in whatever respect it is, you hit that wall, and it goes, hey man, you ever thought about writing? You ever thought about reading? You ever thought about asking that guy how he actually feels?
Yes.
And so I think those are kind of the keys. And so I tell guys to journal. I tell guys to read. I tell guys to get quiet, right? Listen to yourself.
What do you do? Quiet look like for you?
So it's usually after training, because I got a busy brain.
Yeah.
Right. And I need to calm it down and tame it. And it's still not tame, but it's we can listen now. Right. Yeah. And so as much as I talk trash about people who drive with no music on, I find myself after training driving with no music or no audiobooks. And it's just kind of going through the thoughts and writing, or not actually writing because I'm driving, but like I'll usually voice note what I'm thinking or something like that.
Even if it's a word, right? A sentence.
Yeah. Sometimes
I think that magic starts to happen in there, where I think you put yourself under stress and you deplete the body so that the brain can. I'm the same way. Like, it is a million miles an hour up here. And if I can beat the shit out of myself, it'll calm some of that. It'll wear me out enough to where I can actually hear myself think a little bit.
Yeah. 100%. That's exactly what it is, man. For me, I and so I find it there. I find it in nature quite often.
Yeah, baby.
Right. There's a reason why I have 1,000 landscapes on my phone, right?
Yeah.
And especially the more I get into photography, I find myself early mornings, and it's a quote I heard on some motivational video, and this guy said, "The morning breeze has secrets. Do not go back to sleep. The morning breeze has secrets to tell you. Do not go back to sleep."
And especially as a father of 4, right? That's where you have to chase that quiet, you have to chase that time. And I have young men, when a guy says, I don't have time, I say, that's what 4:30 is for, Bubba. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's what 4:30 a.m. is for.
I mean, here's another commonality, right? There's a reason why most of the men you meet in their 30s and 40s and 50s who are still in shape wake up early.
Yes.
It's not because I like it. I personally do, but I'm also not a guy who sleeps a lot. So it's like, I'm just laying there suffering at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
But you're doing it because that's the time you have. That's when it's quiet. It's when it's silent. It's when the kids are asleep. That's when nobody can bug me. And so, I find that early mornings, looking at something, I had a house that was near a lake once, and one of my things is, if I can find a little bit of beauty, I'm good.
Yes.
Quiet mornings. Especially if I can train and then find it, like we're key, man. That's where it's at. And that's what quiet looks like to me right now. I'm actually starting something today where I'm trying to really hone in on some of these things that we're talking about, these topics, or these attributes like journaling, breath work, and really just give myself 60 days of just discipline.
Yeah.
They're all stuff I do. But then I fall into the trap we all do. I'm busy today.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about it yesterday and I go, well, why don't we just actually use the calendar better?
Yeah.
Right. I know Monday and Wednesday are track and field days for my kids, so we ain't getting in till late.
Yep.
I'm getting in at 9 o'clock. So maybe I do breath work at the car before they get to track this time instead of just scrolling Instagram.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I'm doing now is like trying to find and utilize my calendar better for this thing. These things that I know make me better. It's funny, right? Like, so this is kind of how we get there is like, you get up early Monday through Friday. You go to bed on time Monday through Friday. And then Friday night happens and you go to bed late, wake up late. But you feel better but you feel good Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
But somehow we've tricked ourselves that feeling bad equals feeling good because it's freedom. And so I'm playing with it, but I don't know, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Have you ever done a sensory deprivation chamber?
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely. I'm a fan. I'm not saying I'm good at it. All right.
Oh, yeah. But it made me think about that, getting in the car with no music, because I think the last time I did one, it was a trip, man. Like I wasn't able to, I could take no inputs. I left my phone, in the car. I was hungry. I'd been in there for whatever it was. It was a long time. And I'm just like, I can't talk to anybody. I need to sit alone. I need to be quiet. And that's really rare for me. Like I'll be on the phone just from the work perspective with everything we have going. I'll have, like, say, a song that plays automatically in my truck, right? And I'll realize there are days when I haven't made it all the way through one track, because it'll play for 10 seconds and I'll grab my phone. Okay, I'm back on with somebody else, whoever, if it's somebody that's on my mind, or if it's a really work thing that needs to be done. It's just, I'm always just engaged, boom, 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 boom. And so it's really hard for me to get everything to settle down to the point that I can just sit and be quiet. That's a hard thing for me. I'm sure that I have some ADD diet, that I could have been labeled with, but it's a little late now, and whatever, it's served me well, so I'm not going to mess with it. But it is hard to get quiet as a man, and and I think especially people that want to produce at a high level, I think there's something about us that just has that, like, we're just tuned up,
Oh man. I mean, I joke with people like my brain is 30 screensavers with all the sound on, half of the screensavers.
Yes.
And I'm just rolling through them,
Yes.
and, and so I feel the same way. I've just done a really, pat myself on the back for once is like, I've done a really good job lately of trying to cut my inputs down to things that I know are good.
Yes.
Right. I don't know where I heard it, but the guy was like, you say yes until you have to say no.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm verging on right now. We're getting to the point now where we're like, all right, we're having to start to say no to things. We're starting to have to say no to, all this. And then the kind of the phrase I've landed on for myself and for 2025, I kind of always pick like a theme every year. And the theme I've kind of had this year is just to remain obedient to myself and my dreams.
Yeah.
And if I can do those two things, everything else takes care of itself.
I think a lot of high producing men end up in that spot because you get where you get by saying yes to everything, right? Every opportunity, that's you become the yes man, and you go, it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to get it. I'll make time. I'll find time. And then you end up having to transition into, all right, I've found the things that have, by saying yes, have taken root, right? And now I have to tend to that garden that is those things those trees I've planted, and now I need to tend to this, because if you keep saying yes, all the things that you did good prior are going to start to fade, because you cannot forever say yes. You have to prioritize, okay, I've got the things I think that I'm good at, or I think that I want to go chase. And I think a lot of us, as you keep talking, have you ever messed with or read anything around the archetypes and some of that around? I always just choose for, there's lots of archetypes, but I always pick on four, the lover,
Oh
the,
yeah,
the lover magician. Yes, you have, yeah. And then warrior and king.
yeah.
Right. And I can't help. I know you're really far away from me, a couple time zones away, but I can literally feel that frequency, you moving from warrior, and you were genuinely a warrior. I was not, right? But genuinely being a warrior to moving into that king's seat, right? Which the king says, that's not a priority right now. The warrior says, you tell me where to go, I go kill. Right. But just as you move into that seat, man, how's that transition? Because I'm seeing you transitioning into that and finding those pieces of yourself into that. Like, how's that going? And maybe I'm naming something that's not there, but I'm pretty damn sure it's there.
So it's funny. I actually finally had this I had this tattoo done a couple months ago, and it's got all 5 archetypes or 4 archetypes, and I added one. Right, I added philosopher on my thumb. And one of the beliefs that I've kind of come to believe, or one of the beliefs I've come to believe, one of the ones I've come to develop is that I want to have the identity of no identities, right? And what I mean by that is if I'm rooted in one, sometimes the situation calls for another,
Yes.
right? And so I want to be able to tap into all of them as need be. It's kind of like this started because I had a friend who was like, I'm all or nothing. And I was like, maybe that's not the way to be.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, the reason why I've been able to train for 20 years without almost never pausing is because training to me just means getting it done. It doesn't mean it's an hour workout. Sometimes it's 20 minutes workout.
Absolutely. Yep.
But I still trained. I was like, it's not all or nothing. It's just what needs to be done, what's appropriate for the situation.
Or just getting a win, right? As a person, I almost never miss a day. But again, it might be 15 minutes. But
exactly,
it's a W in my column. And I know I'm going to I feel better. I just feel like I got to win out of that today, But
exactly.
keep going. Yeah, I want to hear. So it's all or nothing. But
I try to. Oh, I'm sorry.
He said it's all or nothing, but that's not true. And so where'd you go?
I just think that the ability to kind of oscillate between these identities, archetypes, is probably way more important. What I will say is, as I'm growing into whatever this next phase is,
yeah,
I think my ability to recognize myself, opportunities, and people is way more important than anything else that I've ever believed before. And what I mean by that is I now know like there's some things I'm just not going to do well.
yes.
Right. And so instead of trying to force it, I start trying to leverage like who can I call, who can I help, who needs help.
Yes.
And then also the thing with like saying no, like it's kind of like this, like I think a lot of guys when you talk about like a relationship, right, with your lady, your woman, and like a lot of guys start off from the beginning saying, "Oh, babe, you look great," and they say you look great every single time, and it has no value anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying go out and find a way to say you don't look good, but just I don't like those shorts on you.
Yeah.
Right. Because now when I say it, there's nothing but truth here. Right. Again, how you deliver it matters. How you deliver it matters.
Just because it's the truth doesn't mean it's okay, right? But
how you deliver it matters, but there's still a reality to this fact. And that's what I mean when I'm saying this whole like, being able to kind of to say no to things is also the idea that like now other things have value. Yeah. Meaning like if I'm somewhere now, it's not, there's one person I'm showing up for even when I don't want to. And that's my mother.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody else, if I show up, I want to be there. And I want to be there for my mom too. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's some Sundays I want to stay home.
Yeah.
But what I mean is like, if you can really like sit into that and sit into like the uncomfortableness of like saying, hey man, like I'm not coming. I still love you. I'm not coming though, because I'm busy. I'm doing stuff.
Or just tired. This morning really early, it was a list of I answered honestly. I said, hey, here's the deal. I'm over busy and I'm a little tired. I said, this is probably not even next week. It's the week after. Hit me up again. That's just the truth. I'm full right now.
Yep, exactly. And I think between that and just like this thing of like yeah, I was just sitting in that thing. I think that's where I'm at now, man. Is just being able to say like, or I think this is the other important part. I like me, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Well,
and
you've got reps, man. You've got reps at being you. And I have to do that a lot where you go, hey, I don't know if it's perfect. All I know is I've been me and it seems to be working. And there's a lot of stuff I'm really bad at, but I'm gonna just double down on what I'm good at. I like the results so far, I've worked hard on getting there. And so I'm gonna just lean in on that and be me, right? Right.
exactly. I think it's just interesting because like so many people don't like themselves, and so what they'll do is they'll see you who if you like yourself, if you
Yeah.
genuinely are honest and authentic or whatever the thing is, and they're like, oh man, this guy's full of himself. And it's like, nope, I just like me. And your opinion of yourself is so low that when you see this, it's hurtful to you,
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what I, as I move into this next stage, it's just that,
Yeah.
man. It's just trying to be unapologetically me. I
Yeah.
try to do as little harm to others as possible. I try to be a genuinely, it's funny, man. Like, I didn't think I'd go here today, but I'll go here for a second. Um, a guy the other day said something to me about being virtue signaling, and I got real butthurt about it. I'm not gonna lie. And I was like, but then I sat down and I thought about it, man, and I was like, I would rather live in a world where it's not where this is less of an insult than we think it is.
Mm.
What I mean is everyone here knows what virtue signaling is and no one wants to be a part of it. But at the same time, why wouldn't I want my virtues to be shown? Why wouldn't I want to be just? Why wouldn't I want to be truthful? Right? Um, all of these things. Why wouldn't I want to be a protector?
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't mean I have to shout from the rooftops, I'm a protect, but it does mean that I should probably have these things. And at certain times, I should even stand up and say, hey, man, like that's not right.
Yep.
And more so, those are the things where I find myself, right? And just to be clear, like this was somebody was talking trash about the pilot who got killed in January, in my area in DC.
Yeah.
And they called her a DEI hire or some shit like that. And I said, man, I don't know about you and how you were raised. I said, but I just don't speak ill of the dead. And
See?
so he was like, you're virtue signaling. And I was like, well, if that's a virtue signal, man, consider me a flag, bro. Like I'll wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I think for sure, I think especially as you move into that archetype of, let's say, philosopher or king, I mean, those really are those. It's again, I almost hesitate to say it because you don't. The word king it's a big word, um, and I think what I learned, because that one hit me. I just realized in the business world, I partner with and I work with a lot of my family. And I always had this feeling that if I sit in the king's seat when I'm sitting at the table with my brothers, for example, that I'm taking that there's only one king's seat, right? And that's not true. It's my king's seat. I'm the only one that can sit in my seat as a king. They can all sit in a seat as a king as well. But there was a piece of my ego or some version of me that felt like, well, don't elevate yourself to that spot because you're taking something else away from somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a zero sum game, right? This is your game. It's you and it's your journey. You're not taken away from somebody else by becoming what you want to become. And I think there's men that haven't gone or even begun that journey that see you taking something from them as if there's a pie and there's only so much of it to go around. And that's not true, right? It's an unlimited abundance of joy and love and the success to whatever you define success as, but there's unlimited amounts there to go around, I think.
I I think when you try to speak, it's funny. I never thought about it like that, but that's exactly. I felt that way before. I felt that way. Like if I'm acting or I'm sitting in this seat, then you can't sit in this seat. Um, but what I would fall on now, as I try and actually think about it, is like this is me acting in accordance with.
Yes.
I'm acting accordingly, right? I would like to carry myself in this fashion. One of the things that I tend to do, like, and I'll get into a thing with a guy or a client or whatever, and I was like, is this the way you want to portray yourself in the world? Is this the man you want to see reflected back to you?
Right.
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 Whenever somebody's talking trash or talking about somebody who can't protect themselves or something else, and I'm just like, this is the man you want amplified to the world, right? And I think about me at my worst times, man, right? Like, dude, like, this is not anything I want the world to see. It's nothing I want to see.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think when we start talking about like archetypes and kings and everything, that's exactly what it is. It's like, hey, you're not a king, but maybe you should act as if you are one. Maybe you should carry yourself with the decorum and the ability to speak and articulate. Because, like, one of the things, man, I really enjoyed a couple of years ago was listening to Jordan Peterson talk about the how being articulate is a weapon. There's a number of men who fight and shoot.
Good or bad. It could be used good or bad. I mean, just because. Yeah.
Like, there's a number of men who could fight and shoot and do all these other things, but with your words, you can craft an army. With your words, you can break a human. You know what I mean? Like, you can build a human. We've all seen coaches do it.
Absolutely.
Right. And so,
or poison, isn't it? Our words,
yeah,
they mean something always, even the littlest thing, whether it's spoken to ourselves or spoken to our brothers.
Exactly. Like, people will quick to tell you words to mean nothing. And I'm like, people have been to war for words, man.
1,000%. Most wars are fought because of the words, right?
And so to take the time, again, like, just to go back to journaling and going back to thinking and taking time to yourself to actually be able to do these things, that's what you're doing, is you're creating a for lack of a better term, a weapon. It's used for good, it's used for bad, it's used for love, it's used for everything. Yep. Right. And or a tool, right? We can even say tool. It's the same idea that, like, with fire will burn your house down or it'll cook your meals.
Yes.
Social media will make you $1 million or it'll get you a divorce. Like, it's your choice.
What a trip. We could talk all day about that on the social media side. Just how that it'll shape itself to you. Mm-hmm. And it is really a mirror back to yourself around what you go, why is this trending up? You know what I mean? It's like you paused on it, Bubba. It's watching your eyes. It's timing you. It's seeing what you're watching. It knows. And so it's I've said that before too. Like, and I tend to take Instagram and not off my phone 3-4 days at a time just to give myself a break and then jump back in and see. But it can be a really positive. It can be a very, very positive space.
Yeah. I have curated my Instagram to where it's pretty good. Every now and then I'll track into something that I don't need to, and I catch myself going, "Oh man, humans are stupid," and then I go, "Well, you're part of them."
Yeah,
you found yourself here,
Yeah.
And so, I think just trying to remain aware to these things is kind of where, like I said, you're trying to act accordingly. I want to be in this space where I know I'm leaning towards my best self. The version of me at 85 that I can say is who I want to be, right? I have this thing where I want to die empty.
Yeah, leave it all in the field. I've been saying that a lot lately.
Yeah, man.
I just want to field.
And so I created this vision in my head where, like, I'm hopefully I'm lucky and this happens. I'm surrounded by my kids and my family on my deathbed. And my son asked me if there's anything I want to do. And I tell him no. We've done it all.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And that's what I think about in reference to, like, how I want to handle these situations, especially, like, to kind of circle back to the front when we talk about divorce and everything else. Like, this is not how I thought then. If it was, I'd probably still be married, or I would have been a better husband. And whether it would have ended, it would have, I could end it with this, I'm good. I did what I was supposed to do. Right. And so I really try and land on that no matter what. It's my left and right boundaries. It's how I kind of create and curate my life, is like, I know that I want to be able to say this. I want my sons to be able to say this. I want when Brian talks about me, and he sits down and he goes, "Hey man, buckle up. I got a story to tell you. This isn't your average,
Yeah.
and so, but it comes at a price.
It absolutely does, man.
And
What's that price? What is that price? Because there's young men listening that are gonna, what am I giving up?
you're giving up what you think fun looks like. It's not actually fun, right? It's like type 1, type 2 fun, right?
Yes.
You ride the roller coaster and it's fun for the roller coaster and you forget you rode it for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But what you're actually getting is the type 2 fun, right? You and your buddy sitting on a mountaintop getting just hail, wind, everything else, being miserable, but you have this memory of the jokes that were said, you know. I laughed my face off on the side of a mountain in Australia last year. Miserable at one point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll never forget it. You know, I couldn't tell you about the number of bars I've been to in North Carolina.
Exactly, man.
You know,
Unless you got in a fight or something like that, and then
yeah, and I think those are the things you give up. You give up fast time friends for
Yeah.
friends who, I always reference, man, it only takes 6 people to carry a casket.
Yeah.
And so you can have 200 good job friends, or you can have 6. I'm fucking proud of you, man.
Yeah.
It's a big difference, right?
Absolutely.
And I think those are the cost. And I think there's also the cost of like holding yourself to a higher standard, right? It's not always fun. It's not always whatever, but this is something that happened to me recently, and it's not serious, but it was just a small snapshot into how you can change and mangle your standards. I had a picture from when I was in probably the best shape of my life, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, I didn't know my waist was that small, right?
Yeah.
And I look at my waist now, and I go, oh, this is what happens when you take your standard to be, I'm still better than, or I'm still doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not the standard of, this is my standard that I will hold the line on.
Right.
Regardless of.
Right.
Not in comparison, not in competition, not whatever. This is just where I stand and live.
Yeah. How do you balance that? Because it goes a little bit back to that all or nothing thing, right? Because, I've been, I'll never be as strong as I was. I mean, that's just reality, right? I mean, I'm at a point as a profession, it was my job to stay strong and fit and right. And so, and I don't want to be, right? I don't want to have 685 pounds on my back ever again, right? I could hear in the headphones, I could hear my body going, just literally cracking as you're squatting, going, that's probably, we're not going to go there again. But giving yourself just enough grace around that to manage, because at that point I had 3 priorities, right? It was work, it was get strong as hell, throw as far as I can, and my wife. Yeah. And now I've got 2 kids, I've got 4 businesses. I've got this project we're doing here, and all of the other colorful things that come into life, and I'm having to fit fitness in where I can. So there's a balance there, right? And I don't want to make an excuse. It's like, it's not making an excuse for what it could be, but it's also going, what is good enough? And how do you balance that whole thing, that full equation of where you're at, right? And not to say that we can't fitness wise. I love that conversation, because it is such an outward reflection of your inward, of your inside work and your ability to commit to something. So I'm not saying that you won't get back to where you want to, you will, but it will take away from something else, because, it's like, I was doing the carnivore diet, and one of my buddies was like, how'd it go last night? I said, well, I had potatoes and I had this. And he's like, well, what happened? I said, hey, if my wife cooks it, I am not going to sit there and tell her I'm not eating that meal. Right. There's no way. And for one, I mean, that's one of my favorite, I love food. And so there's just, within that, it's like, dude, maybe I won't get, or maybe it'll take me 2 years to get where I want to get instead of 8 months, like some other guys are seeing results. But I'm willing to take that 2 years to get where I want to get, because I want to continue to be connected with her and sit down and have that meal with my family and not be that father that goes, I'm so rigid that I can't eat your mom's cooking, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of, I want to say seasonal, but at the same time, it's not, right? Like what I mean is the fitness as a whole is never seasonal because I have to experience my life through this body.
Yes.
Every
This,
pleasure, every
this on journeys, right? And that's the thing is
yeah,
you go out and you want to see those mountaintops. And that's the realization is like, if I want to get to do what this thing wants to do, this has to play along. I've got
yeah,
to keep this healthy so I can go do those and see those things.
yeah. And in order for this, all the things to happen, good, bad, and different, you know, from sex to 18-mile hike up the hill,
Yes.
this thing has to be in order.
Yep.
And so it's always going to be a priority in order to be a good dad, right? Because sometimes being a good dad is carrying a kid on your shoulders,
It is.
right? Sometimes being a good dad is like your kid sprains an ankle and you got to carry him off a track,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and so I will never neglect it. It will change and morph into what is needed. And it's like you said, like here's a very real realization that you hit me with, right? I'm never going to deadlift 700 pounds again. I'm never going to squat. Like I thought I was going to do another powerlifting meet and my knees were like, hey buddy, get out of here.
Yeah.
And I had probably 2 bad days of like, you know, well, I felt bad about it. And then I was like, got the t-shirt, man. We're good. We're good here. We still have a working, functional body that can do the things. And let's be honest, if I ever have to deadlift 700 pounds again, there's a real problem.
Somebody's underneath a car at that point, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. It's like, so am
I
I fit enough
do
to
was
chase these kids down? Go
a
ahead.
lot. I was injuring myself a lot in jits, and
Yeah.
I moving back because it's just I love to shoot my bow. I want to hunt, and it was like my shoulders were always beat up, and I was having a hard time drawing my bow, and it was a really hard thing because I loved rolling, and it was like, man, I'm gonna have to pick one. I think, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways around that. I get that, but it's just it is having to make priorities and go, which one do you want? So you can't have it all.
Exactly. And I
Really?
think I also think it's some lifestyle design too, man. Like one of the things I'm working with my coach right now on is that I told him like this is my last year in iron sports, competing in any version of iron sports, right? Like whether it's bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever. I will lift till the day I die.
Yeah.
But as far as like a competition, this is it. I'm done. But I told him, I was like, how do we build a life where I can have 3 meals a week that are just unchecked? How
Yeah.
do we build a life where I don't have to say no to cooking? I don't have to say, be the Tupperware kid like I was during my bodybuilding show,
Yeah.
and so that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to figure out how that works in the life. And again, like I'm a calendar guy in the sense, not because I'm rigid. That's the exact opposite. I'm a wild man,
Yeah.
right? I'm a wild man, and if left unchecked, I'm out. I'm gone.
Right.
Right. And so the reason why I have a calendar is because I know it'll hold me accountable. I know where I have to be, when I'm supposed to be. I know when my meals are. I know when my free meals are. I know when date night is. I know, you know what I mean? Like I know what's what.
Yeah.
And how to act accordingly in reference to that. And also what's important, man. I think being able to pivot on a dime, it's like you show up and it's your kid's birthday and you're not stepping on a stage in your undies. Have a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Right. And also don't have the slice of pizza. You'll be fine. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We had Brian Peters on last week on the podcast, and he had all the wisdom, but he said everything is poison. The dose makes it so, right? And it's just so true. Like everything can hurt you. Even the diet can hurt you, right? You can get too caught up in that, and that can be poison in itself.
We had a guy come out and talk to us when I was still in the military. And one of the things he was talking about was that like metabolic flexibility, guys who only eat healthy. And then we go on a mission or operation downrange where you have to eat street food from these vendors who maybe don't have, they wouldn't pass a sanitation check in the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, and you wonder why 6 guys on the team are fine and the other guys are jacked up.
Yeah.
And so, like there's something for everything. I used to have a phrase on my board, a little on my whiteboard in my office when I was still in the Army. It said, everything costs, everyone pays. Right. And I think it's just, what are you willing to pay?
Yes.
It's funny you talked about Brian. Brian's one of my favorite humans on the planet.
Me too, bro.
And last time I saw him was at Don Vardy's men's retreat, Men of the Swamp. And him and I just trade barbs back and forth for hours, man. And that guy, he's told me that one before, and I love it. He's also the one who gave me the go the speed limit, which has been my live by. It's what I live by now.
Tell me more. Walk me through that.
So it's actually via Brian McKenzie. Him and Brian McKenzie had a podcast together on his show. And Brian McKenzie said he did an experiment, a self-experiment one day about just actually going the speed limit. He said, I'm going to try and go the speed limit for 30 days.
I don't know if I could.
Yeah, and he's what he said. And he said he failed miserably. But he said the couple times when he did it, what he noticed was all the things he's been missing. Right?
Yes.
And so now the zoom out is, listen, I live in DC. Traffic's terrible. I'm never going to go the speed limit in my car. But I can go the speed limit in my life.
Yeah.
Right? And what that causes me to do is causes me to be prepared. Right? Because I know if I got to be there at 7, I got to get ready at this time.
Yes.
It means if the kids have track on Saturday, the Gatorade and the 1 gallon Yeti have to be ready the night before, right? All the things have to be there. It also means that in conversations with my lady or in conversations with my friends, I pay attention, right? I'm going the speed limit. So I notice when my friend shows up and he's jacked up.
Yes.
And he doesn't want to say it, right? He doesn't want to say like, yo, I had a hard one or whatever. Like, I had clients over 2 nights ago and they're going through it, right? And the dude's younger dude, and he goes, it's him and his lady, and they're talking, and I can tell he doesn't know how to articulate his feelings. And I can also tell that all she wants is for him to articulate his feelings. And she's been kind of beating him up about it.
Yeah.
And she's frustrated because she feels like he's withholding. And so I looked at him and I was like, bro, like, how you feel right now? You uncomfortable? And he's like, very. And I was like, and I looked at her and I was like, that's somebody who doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I was like, so you can't hold him accountable for something he doesn't know what to do. I was like, but if you want to understand how to handle this is it right here. How you feel right now? You uncomfortable? This is sometimes, for the right person, depending on who or what it is, now it's a hug. Now it's let's give you 5 seconds or whatever the thing is. And it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, go the speed limit, man. Notice the thing. Notice the rise and fall of a chess. The other one was, if I put it together with something, his name is General Wayne Hall. And I got to be privy to this conversation where he was talking about this book he wrote called Intelligence Analysis. And it was the first time my eyes were open to critical thinking and indicators and all these things. And what I mean by indicators is like paying attention. And he said the reason why he wrote this book is because he missed every single symptom and problem before his wife died. She died young and early. And he said he missed them all because he wasn't paying attention to the indicators. Right? Yeah. So, and now what I did recently, probably about 6 months ago, my ex-wife and I are on good terms. In no way, shape, or form am I trying to get remarried to her or anything like that. But I'm curious, man. And so I went back and I reread emails, text messages, everything I could find.
Yeah.
Right. 1, because I just want to be a better communicator, and 2, because I wanted to kind of do a postmortem on it. If it was work, this is what I would have done for work.
Yep.
And I went back and I read all this stuff and I was mortified. And there were so many indicators, so many moments of if I would have slowed down.
Yeah.
If I went the speed limit, that everything would have been different. Or at the very least, it could have been handled differently.
Yeah. You'd have been proud of how you handled that situation, right?
And that's the key.
Yeah.
Right? I'm willing to go through and deal with any situation possible, but I want to walk away, and this is how we'll do it, in the King spirit.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And that's what I tell my guys. I had this realization, with that entrepreneurial side of my life and what we do there. and just the risk of failure is high, right? It is, bottom line. And I had to, as I really, really, really thought about it, I thought, okay, chances of failure are high here. But if I want to do it in a way that there's two things that come out of that. If I fail, the men that I failed with, my brothers, my tribe, we fail, I go to nothing, I go to zero. And if I stand up and say, I'm going to try again, and they go, cool, we got your back, let's go. Right. So if I fail with integrity, I do it in a way that I haven't stolen from anybody, I haven't lied to anybody. I've always done it with as much honor or virtue, as you said earlier in the podcast, as possible. Then my men will still be there behind me, right, and stand up. And because that's always the fear, right? I have a lot of people that have trusted me with their income, their entire household income, with our companies and what we're going out to do in this adventure. And I think of business just like I think of a hunting trip or any other adventure, right? I'm taking my boys with me. We're going to go. There's a high chance of failure. It's going to be hard. And that's all I want in life. And whether it's on the business side, it's on, the hunting side, or just any trip, camping trip, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Right. But just that idea that if we fail, that when we do, we all stand up again, we dust ourselves off, and everybody around us done it with that virtue. And we say, let's go do it again.
Yeah. I like that, man. That's how I feel. I think I try to look at everything as an adventure, and I want to walk away being able to hold my head high.
Yeah.
I think that's, and then to talk about like how we talk about and coach and teach and be an example to young men. I think sometimes that's the thing, is like the success stories are cool and I want to hear them, but I
Yeah.
also want to hear the stories where the dude was like, no big deal, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
No big deal, we'll do it again. Because so often we get caught up in the to liken it to jujitsu and the BJ Penn stories. 19-year-old black belt.
Yeah.
That's a cool story, man. But you know what else is cool? That dude who's 60 just crushing it, trying to get to blue belt.
That white belt 64.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just trying to showing up to class because he's got to race home from work, whatever, man. And I think that those lessons apply again. Like, we can see the through lines in so many great men or men you look up to. Maybe the world doesn't know them, like my father, your friends, your brothers, and quite often I'm always talking about like the Mount Rushmore for me in like specific categories. I talk about like the Mount Rushmore of dads, right?
Yeah.
I have like 4 friends that I look to, and I think that's what it is, man. It's the same thing, but it's just creating them in little categories. These Mount Rushmore men that I want to aspire to be like,
Yeah.
people that I want to aspire to be like, man. Like, and it's not always men, man. I'll say this, right? One of the dopest things I ever saw my ex-wife do was we were going for a walk one day, and this lady was on the side of the road bawling her face out. And she walks up to her and just starts talking to her, puts an arm around her, whole nine.
Yes.
And I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Something I couldn't do, right? I'm 6 foot, 270 pounds, big beard. Like this, I would have caused a scene.
Yeah.
Right. Also, I probably didn't have the emotional intelligence to handle it.
No.
Right.
That's one of the, that's hard to step into with people, isn't it? Like, somebody really down, you go, I'm going to step into that. I'm going to go right where they are and do my very best with whatever I got, whatever tools I got to pick them back up again.
Yeah, it's one of the things where I'm constantly just, again, like, I think it's just what you look for. Like, you can look around and you can see amazing shit every day. So often people will, here's the thing here, I think you'll get this. Quite often people will be like, oh, the world's going to, in hell in a handbasket, all this other stuff. And one of the things I think about every time I'm at Winter Strong is, if you look around right now, all you see is goodness.
Yes.
You see why the world isn't going to hell in a handbasket, right? I saw something online the other day and it was like, men don't hug each other enough. I was like, you obviously haven't been to Winter Strong.
Exactly. Yep.
Right? You obviously haven't watched 2 men who barely know each other but see each other every year, and then they get deep.
Yeah.
And they go, or whatever the thing is.
Yes.
and so often it's really easy to get caught up in all how bad this stuff is or what you see, instead of the things like that. Like you'll miss it every time if you do
Yeah.
it. And so I can easily just, if I stop, slow down, pay attention, and again, curate your feed, your social media, your life, your whatever, and all of a sudden you start seeing it.
Oh, bro, it's absolutely, and you embody that. And so, dude, I just looked at the clock and I time warped with you. And we are, and I know, we came in here at 6 o'clock because I really wanted to get time with you, and it's huge, and so much good come out of your conversation. What's maybe, dude, one more thing that you're working on that is a curiosity or something that, and I'm selfishly asking you this, for myself, but just because I want to learn from you, but what's one more thing, man, that you've got that you can drop on us?
Um, I'll give you two, man, just because one is really present because it just happened. I got to go to Painted Porch Bookstore in Bastrop, Texas, right outside of Austin. Right, it's Ryan Holiday's bookstore, and I am an avid reader. But for the last probably 6 months to a year, I haven't been doing a lot of reading because I'm trying to prep for this book I'm writing. Right,
Yeah.
I was writing it before I paused it because it turned into something I didn't want it to turn into. And so now that I'm actively trying to engage in it again, I stopped because I didn't want to take on anybody else's tone. But anyway, so I walk into this bookstore and I'm immediately overwhelmed because it's curated to the highest level. He's got these notes up there and
Oh,
everything else.
yeah.
And at the very same time, I'm engaging with a couple of people on the internet who are, we'll say, less than kind individuals,
Yeah.
right? And the two ideas that I had immediately were these people need to read more and they need to travel more, right?
Sure, man.
And read things that are challenging to you, have challenging conversations, not to win them, but to just be exposed to it, because I think that is the edge of wisdom, right? The two, what I'll say is the two edges of wisdom are, and this, my father told me this. My father said, wisdom is being able to learn from others' mistakes. And I think the other edge of wisdom is being able to listen to challenging ideas and incorporate them actively into your life, right? Whether it's for or against.
Yeah.
So that's one. That's the easy one. And I think the other one, man, is like I said, the theme for myself for this year, and I think if I was, if I was selfish and I could put it on everybody, I would
Please.
tell I would tell everybody the theme is to be obedient to yourself and laugh first and laugh hard.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, like, when I hear something shitty or I hear somebody being whatever, my immediate response right now is to laugh at it. I want to laugh at it. I want to laugh first. I want to laugh hard. I want to take it not serious. I want to remember that life is short. I want to remember that I probably won't remember this in a day.
Yeah, for sure. And especially a guy like you, I think you have a super high frequency, brother. And I think people that are down in here, they want to pull you back down. They want to pull you down in there with them, right? It makes them very uncomfortable to be around somebody that's up here, and they want to pull you down. And I think what you're saying there is you're going to laugh hard. And what you're really saying is that I'm not going down in that, right? I'm up here. I like being up here, and I'm not going to join you down in that. I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay up here. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to give you grace for being down there. I always think of people like that. Like I think of like my kid when I'm having a rough day, even if it's a 60-year-old man, is like,
Yeah.
I'm not going there with you. I'm not going to step into that.
Well, I think too, it's like I measure everything against death. And I know that sounds morbid to a lot of people, but if tomorrow your kid or your woman or your best friend called you and they were like, hey man, I got 6 months, what does any of this matter?
Bro, especially your
What
kids.
is, you
Something
know,
comes kids and the world gets very black and white.
like what does any of this matter? Like, why am I entertaining your nonsense? Why am I entertaining my nonsense? Like, if we're really being real, right? Like,
Yeah.
I am the only one I can control. I am the only one I am responsible for. I am the only one that I can handle these interior thoughts.
Yeah.
And so why am I entertaining this nonsense when this is the only thing that matters to me?
Yeah.
Right? What are your actual sources of peace and what readiness? And so, like, we do this thing we call like your dope life equation. How do you get to your dopest life possible?
Right.
Right? And what are the ingredients? And that's how I look at it. What are the ingredients, man? Food, fire, friends, family. That's what mine is.
Yeah. I love
You
that.
know?
I love it.
And so, with some adventure, right? With adventure and brothers to go do the adventures with.
Yes.
And I know those are the ingredients that make my life good. And so anything else outside of those ingredients, if I give too much to, becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the one thing we said, man. It goes back to the identities and the archetypes, and also being able to say no, and being able to say no to myself. No, I'm not going there with you. No, I'm not doing that. No, this isn't a priority.
Yeah.
Yes, that's my woman. Yes, those are my kids, and I'm doing this. And
Yep.
those are the things that I think are the most important, and that's where I'm trying to stay, man. Sometimes, you got to stay in your square, man. Sometimes you got to pick your square and stay in it and know that's what it
Yeah.
is. And that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For anybody that wants to get more of you, I know that you're putting yourself out there. You're doing some big stuff. How do we get more of what you got, man? Because I want more. I could stay on the phone, for another hour or two with you. What I really miss is just having a notepad, but I'm lucky I get to look back and listen to this, and so I'll take notes later. But dude, how do we get more of what you got going?
A traveling man on Instagram. We are warpath.com. That's where we sell our apparel. Coaching right now is pretty much through just personal contact. If you contact me, I'll tell you my rates and we'll go through from there. Whether
Yeah.
it's, I'm not training very many people as far as athletic endeavors anymore, but like, a lot of mentorship clients, I will take on.
And you do that one-on-one?
One-on-one, yeah. We're getting ready to launch a group here. It'll be a group that we'll do. I think we'll meet twice a week. Just because one of my mentors told me two things, which is also why I have been kind of coaching less. If you want to impact more people, he's like, either a group setting or a book is going to be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Or podcasts.
Right.
And so, with my mission statement being what it is, it's not that I'm not trying to say I know everything. I'm not trying to hand out prescriptions. I have very few prescriptions.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of frameworks, and I have a lot of ideas, and I'm willing to share them, and I'm willing to go there. The thing that we say is, it's like a Zelda. Like, I don't know if you ever played Zelda. I never did. I hated the game, but
I did.
The top down map, it's
I
all black.
played when I was a kid. There was,
Yeah.
Zelda.
The map is all black, and you got where you're going, and you got where you are, and you can't see anything else. And so all we're doing is handing out tools to help you get to where you got to go.
Flashlights, something.
Yep.
Right.
That's all we're trying to do, man. Because I wouldn't be egotistical enough to say I got the answer, but I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
And so that's where you can find us. My Substack as well. I'm getting ready to start writing on Substack again. So that's it.
Okay. That's awesome, man. Anything else we can do to help support you where you're at, what you're doing?
That's it, man. Visit the stuff, pick up a shirt if you want. And then, as the articles, especially the articles, whenever I write something, please share away. That's the big thing.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be amazing. Looking forward to it, man. So, thanks a ton for spending the time. I know you're busy. And, for anybody to take an hour and a half, 2 hours out of their day, it's huge for me. So much gratitude for you and all your work. And just, it's huge for us to be able to receive that. And so, we won't waste it. It'll be a ripple, it won't just be here and gone. That's the intention here. So, thanks again for coming on, man. And we'll do this again. We've got time. There's so much more. I'm full of questions, full of curiosity. And so
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Please.
All right, brother, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, family, we're on the backside of the Yohance interview. Just left with so many things there. Really, I think the biggie for me is just that desire to be better. He really, I talked about it in there, just his frequency is high. And when you get to be around somebody or get to be on the phone, even like we were, he's the kind of person that elevates you, right? And you look at him, you watch what he does. If you look at his Instagram content, any of that, he just holds a high standard. for who he is and what he wants to do, and then how he gives back to people. And I think for me, just leaving that going, like, the guy has his priorities straight. He's dialed in. He's thought about what's important and what's not. I'm going to focus on what's important. And when I'm there, I'm going to be all there, right? I don't know. I've heard the saying for years and years, but it's like wherever you are, be all there. And he embodies that. He also brings a lot of curiosity. So he's not so rigid to, X, Y, and Z. Its priorities are, family, fire, friends and fun, or so. I forget what it was, T. I mean, you have to correct me on that. But it's that clear mission statement in life that he has that I think that so few of us have ever really thought about, right? And so the fact that he's kind of said, this is the mission and this is what I'm going to go do. It just shows what a great experience we can have in this kind of human experience of life if we just say, what's important to me? I'm not gonna pick up the rest of the bullshit, Yeah, I think I'm left going, I can do better, I can have more fun, and let's dig in a little bit on what I want, what my family needs, and how do I do better about just being there for that.
Yes, sir.
Give a shout out real quick to our boys at the GOT Outpost, gear optimization technology with our boys at Rucklist, Jay and Drew, just over there continuing to put out good stuff for us, educate us on how to get back into the backcountry more effectively. And so thank you to Rucklist, our sponsor, and our company we work within, right? But thanks for letting us do this for a job. Thanks again for joining us on the FOC podcast. This is me, Brian Trainer, my brother Tyrell, Bubba Trainer. I'm going to make that Bubba thing stick. Give me about 30 more episodes and that Bubba's going to stick, man.
Yep.
So, all right, y'all, we'll see you next time.
Bye.